Welcome back to the Systematic Pro Trading Desk. In this video, I'm going to walk you through, step by step, the setup I'm currently running in my portfolio command configuration using QuantView's QGrid Elite strategy. This is a variant of a framework Marcus originally built a couple of years ago. We'll start by looking at the chart setup itself. Then we'll review the last 3 morning opens on the Nasdaq. And finally, we'll look at the TradingView strategy report for both yesterday and today. This is a one-contract Nasdaq setup using QGrid Elite. The chart is a 15-second chart with Renko set to 2. In the settings, the time window is restricted from 9:35 to 11:30 across weekdays 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You also need to change the trader type in the indicator to scalper. For the scalper configuration, sensitivity is set to 0. The take profit type is set to dynamic, which means it trails to try and maximize returns on strong moves. The static take profit is set to 20, and the stop loss multiplier is set to 2. On the execution side in Tradovate, I'm running a $400 profit target and a $1,200 daily loss limit. In normal conditions, the objective here is to reach that profit target fairly quickly after the 9:35 start, assuming the market provides decent structure. There are no other changes from the default indicator settings on this chart. If you're using custom alerts like I do with Pick My Trade, then you'll want to select custom alerts and only populate the long scalper entry, short scalper entry, and all exits fields, using JSON to communicate through your middleware into Tradovate. As you'll see from this morning session, the $400 target would have been reached within the first few trades. Looking back at yesterday's open, the same target was reached in under a minute, and on Wednesday it was reached even faster. The point here isn't to claim anything magical. It's to show you how this setup behaves around the open, and how I evaluate it using structure, execution, and real session behavior. Now let's switch over to the Tradovate strategy overview and look at what this has actually been doing over the last day or so in terms of execution and trade distribution. Over this sample, the system shows a total profit and loss of $12,433.50 with a reported drawdown of $148.50. I want to be very clear about that drawdown number though. In real trading, entry and exit slippage will increase that, especially around fast opens and momentum moves. So I treat this figure as a best-case back-office number, not something to rely on blindly. In total, there are 150 trades in this sample, and over 64% of them are profitable. That already tells you something important about the character of the strategy. This is not a low win rate, lottery-style system. It's designed to participate in short-term structure and rotations and keep a high hit rate while letting winners do more of the work. The profit factor comes in at 9,572, which is extremely high. Again, I don't look at that as something to celebrate or market. I look at it as a signal that the distribution of wins versus losses is heavily skewed in the right direction in this particular regime. It means the average winning trade is significantly outweighing the average losing trade over this sample. What I really care about here isn't just the headline PL number. It's the shape of the equity curve, the consistency of the trade outcomes, and whether the system is avoiding large, uncontrolled losses. The trade list shows a high frequency of relatively small, controlled trades, with winners clustering during momentum phases, which is exactly what you want from a scalper style rules-based framework like this. The key takeaway is this. These stats describe how the system behaved in this specific window, not a promise of future performance. Markets change, slippage exists, and conditions vary. So I use this report as a behavioral and structural validation tool, not as a marketing brochure. The real question is always the same. Does this behave in a way that's scalable, controllable, and survivable over time? Next, I want to switch this over to 3MNQ and run exactly the same settings. Nothing is optimized here, nothing is tweaked. This is purely to see how the same logic expresses itself on a slightly different contract size and noise profile. The reason I do this is simple. I want to know whether the behavior of the strategy is consistent, not just whether it looks good on one specific chart. if a framework only works in one very narrow configuration. That's usually a red flag. Here on the 3MNQ chart, you can see the same QGrid regime logic, the same entry and exit rules, and the same session window. What changes is the texture of the price action. It's a bit smoother, a bit less noisy, and that often shows up in the way trades cluster and how long winners are able to run. If we look at the strategy results and the associated list of trades for this session, what I'm looking for isn't perfection. I'm looking for similar behavior. Are losses still contained? Do winners still tend to appear during momentum phases? Does the system still avoid doing anything obviously stupid in chop or transitions? You can see here that the trade distribution is different to one NQ, but the character of the system is the same. That's what matters. This tells me the logic is expressing itself in a consistent way, rather than being overfit to a single instrument or chart style. Finally, I want to switch out of TradingView and into Tradovate, because this is where theory meets execution. This is the part that actually matters if you're thinking in terms of real trading. Prop rules or scalability. Here in the Tradovate strategy summary, you can see the headline numbers for the recent sample: total profit and loss, drawdown, total trades, win rate, and profit factor. As I mentioned earlier, these platform stats are useful, but they're not something you take at face value, especially when it comes to drawdown, because slippage and execution reality will always make that worse in live conditions. What I care about more is the list of trades itself. This tells you how the system is actually behaving in the market. Are losses staying relatively small and controlled? Are winners appearing during the right market phases? Is the system overtrading, or is it being selective? Scrolling through this, you can see a high frequency of relatively small, rule-based trades, with winners clustering when the market provides structure and momentum. That's exactly what you want from a scalper style rules-based framework like this. And this is really the key point to end on. None of this is about claiming perfect results or selling a fantasy. It's about process, behavior, and risk control. The question is always the same. Does this behave in a way that's controllable, repeatable, and survivable across different days and different conditions? That's what I'm evaluating here. So that's a full walkthrough of the QGrid Elite setup on 1NQ and 3MNQ, how it behaves around the open, and how it looks when you compare TradingView with real execution in Tradovate. If you want more no-hype, rules-based trading breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll be sharing more forward tests, live reviews, and system deep dives as I keep developing this. Feel free to leave a comment if you want me to cover a specific setup or market next. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.